Hi, Daniel. This is
Hi,
Tilly.
Chloe.
Hey,
Hi.
we are so excited to be partnering with you all at Kensington Tours on this trip for our folks to go to South Africa in October. I know that they're excited. We're excited about pulling this trip together, and you all have such expertise in curating trips to South Africa or Africa in general, where we can create some awesome memories for our guests. So I would like to know if I could ask you a few questions. So first, just tell us about Kensington Tours and about yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Tilly. And it's our honor to host you while you're in Africa. We have been doing trips to Africa from the very beginning, from the very start. Actually, Kensington Tours was founded by Jeff Wilner, who was born in Africa. He was born in the Congo and then moved to Kenya, and that's where he started his business. That was back in 2006. So we've been in business since then, doing trips in Africa, safaris. It all started with him planning trips for his friends, and then from there it grew to what we are today, where we do trips to more to over 100 countries, and I can't even tell you how many clients we've had. Like we've really grown from him working in his garage to what we're today. And yeah, we do trips to over 100 countries. Our specialty are private, luxury, and customized trips. That is how I describe Kensington Tours. So what does that mean? That means that in terms of the luxury, you can expect very high quality, very high standards. Our guides are handpicked as well. They go through a very rigorous selection process. And that's how we make sure that when you're traveling in Africa or any of the countries that we operate in, that you're in the very best hands. That our trips are also customized, which means that we don't sell cookie cutter itineraries. Like we don't have scheduled group tours or departures. We build every trip from scratch. And so what we did for this trip, based on our conversations and on the interest of the group, we made sure to give this trip a nice balance of safari, which is the wildlife part of it, and also time in Johannesburg so that you can see more of the culture and the history of South Africa, the apartheid movement, and all of that with Nelson Mandela and Soweto, which are words and names that will come up during your trip. And then we'll finish off in Cape Town with great nature there, a hint of history with Robben Island, which is where Nelson Mandela was in prison for, I think, 18 years. And we'll end off on a relaxing note with the wine country so that you can, have some good wine tastings, and then back home. Hopefully, you'll be drowsy on the way on the flight because it is a long flight.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you for going over the summary of the trip. So we know that a lot of people have Africa, visiting Africa in general, the continent, on their bucket list. Why would folks, in your opinion, have South Africa on their bucket list?
Yeah, so honestly, South Africa, whenever I get clients who most people come and they know that they want to go to Africa, but they don't know what they want to see in Africa or where to even start. There's 52, 54 countries in Africa. It's very big, and there's many different wildlife areas, there many different cities. It's a lot of work to figure out what the best itinerary is. But I always recommend South Africa as the starting point for many reasons. And the main one is that the infrastructure is good. So the airports, the roads, overall the infrastructure it's a little more developed than other parts of Africa. The wildlife is amazing. So we'll take you to the Kruger, which is where you'll do your safari. Um, it is one of the best parks in the whole continent. So you'll get that amazing wildlife experience. You'll see the big five, the elephants, the lions, all of that. And the other thing is that it's very good quality, very good value for money. So the luxury is the luxury of the camps, the luxury of the hotels, the luxury of the experience. Your money goes further there compared to other parts of Africa, and that's why I feel like South Africa, it's um, it just ticks all the boxes.
Understood. So you talk about luxury and you talk about being private, this tour that we've curated as a private tour. What sets it apart from other companies who say that they have um, tours to South Africa?
Yeah. Well, you'll see once you get there and you're in the hands of our guides, I think that, will answer that question. But again, like our guides are handpicked. We don't just, I know there are, you can book trips on Expedia, you can book trips on Viator, you can book tours here and there, but these guides are really top notch. They're handpicked. They go through a training process to make sure that they're comfortable in English, comfortable chatting with our clients from North America. Africa, it's a very different part of the world. There's different cultural, things that you have to be careful with. And so we make sure that our guides are authentic, but also prepared to receive our North American travelers. So there's that. The fact that we customize our trips as well. We don't pick any random hotel just because. We make sure that we match the hotels to the group or we match it to the people that are coming. And then another thing that I would consider luxury is that we offer 24/7 support as well. So while you're on the trip, if any of you need anything, an emergency, or you can't find Tilly, or something, we are going to give you a direct line so that you can pick up the phone, call our support line, and we're available 24/7. And those are just a couple of examples. I could sit here all long, talking about Kensington and our value, but I think that should give you a good idea of why we are the best tour operator to take you to Africa.
Perfect. And you talked just briefly about being able to pick up the phone and call you and having these tour guides make sure that everything is safe and secure. How do you ensure the safety and the security of our travelers while they're on your tours?
A great question because Africa, it's a beautiful land, but there are places where, and like if you go online and you read about it, you'll read that there's a conflict here, there's an issue there, and so we have identified the places in each country that we need to stay far away from. We've never had an incident with a client traveling in Africa while they were in our care. So we're very confident and comfortable with our clients traveling to Africa with us. But that's the first thing is that our guides, they have identified the places where we don't stop, we don't drive through. We make sure that all of the tours are done during work hours when there's daylight. That's another big thing is that we will rarely uh, you know, take you at night to a tour somewhere because we don't feel that Africa is that sort of destination other than Cape Town. In Cape Town, there is some nightlife to enjoy there. But yes, like your safety it's the top priority for us to make sure that you're well taken care of when you're in Africa.
You mentioned luxury hotels. Can you tell us a little bit about the accommodations where our folks will be staying?
Yes, I was just looking at it before our call, Tilly. I'm very excited about all of these hotels. So I think the highlight is going to be the Safari Lodge because you're obviously traveling to Africa for the safari, and while you're there, you're staying at Kapama River Lodge, which is one of the nicest hotels in the Kruger. The rooms are suite style, so they're spacious suites with air conditioning, so that you can be in the wilderness, but also have your comforts, right? Your creature comforts. Make sure that at the end of the day, you come back to your room. You can turn on the air conditioning if it's hot. You'll have running water, plumbing, hot water. All of your meals are included at the camp as well, and those meals are all prepared by chefs that are well known. But I think that's the luxury that you can expect while you're on safari. You're in the wilderness, but you'll still have all the creature comforts. There's a spa as well, a really big spa if you want to try out a massage or two. That's just at the Safari Lodge. In Johannesburg, we picked the Da Vinci Hotel for its location, and also in case you want to go out at night and check out a restaurant or two. It's very convenient to restaurants. And in Cape Town, we picked the Taj Hotel. very good hotel with views of Table Mountain, which is the iconic mountain in the heart of the city. Yes, all of these are really nice luxury hotels.
Great. Now I'm going to talk about the necessary vaccinations or travel documents that are required by guests. Do you have any recommendations or are there any special vaccinations needed?
Absolutely. So, okay, so what do you need to travel to South Africa? The first thing, if you are an American passport holder, you just need your valid passport. It has to have at least, I would say, 2 blank pages, and no visa is required. Fortunately, no visa for Americans, which isn't true for all nationalities, actually. I have a client who is from the European Union, Romania, and they're asking him for a visa. It's such a mess, such a hassle. So we're lucky to have the American passport. And then the one big medical consideration is malaria, because the Kruger is in a malaria risk area. Although the risk is very slim, you still need to be prepared for that. Malaria, it's scarier than it sounds. It's transmitted by a mosquito bite. So people who are more experienced with Africa, they make sure to cover up, especially at dawn and dusk. A lot of mosquito repellent, and they're good. But for first timers, I recommend bringing antimalarials. And obviously, you have to chat with your doctor to make sure that your body can handle it. To make sure that you can take antimalarials. Um, and normally, you take it during the duration of your stay in the risk area. So you don't really need it for Johannesburg. You don't really need it for Cape Town, but you do need it for the 3 days that you're in the Kruger. Um, that's the big one, the malaria. Other than that, if you go to a travel clinic, they will recommend that you get maybe typhoid, cholera, hepatitis. Like they bring up all of these vaccinations. Honestly, it's a business. Like we know that every vaccine is very expensive. If you want to get it just because you want to have that extra protection, that's fine. But at this level of tour and at the type of hotels that you're staying at, you're not going to be interacting with like any cattle, right? Or you're not going to be drinking dirty water. So I don't feel that you need it. It's not mandatory. But if you just want to have that extra protection because maybe for this trip and future trips, then that is something that you could get. But only malaria, nothing else is required.
Okay, okay. So finally, what advice do you have for our first time travelers to South Africa and how can our guests best prepare for this trip?
Well, I think that I would start with go on Netflix and look for any animal documentary. Like any films about Africa is just to get a way to get excited. No, but really, when you're in Africa, I think that you have to keep in mind that you're not going to Europe, you're not going to Asia, or traveling in North America. So you have to bring an open mind. Like, you have to keep an open mind, be open to. We have an expression. This is Africa, which means that time works very differently over there. Rushing, getting things done, efficiency is not something that goes well with their culture. Like that's not something that they value. Whereas, in North America, we're all about efficiency and on time. They're not really values that they treasure. So bring an open mind to different experiences. And remember, when you're in the wild, when you're on safari, we have no control over if the elephant is standing in the middle of the road and isn't letting the vehicle go, right? Like you have to be patient. um, Make sure that you follow all the rules that the guide and the rangers give you. You can't, for example, stick your hand out of the vehicle. You can't stand up in the vehicle without permission. You can't hop out of the vehicle, right? Also, make you have to know that the bathroom breaks. We have to have a plan always for the bathroom because you're driving in the middle of nowhere where there are no toilets. Safari drives last 3 hours. So if you can hold it in for 3 hours, that would be ideal. But if you can't, make sure that the guide knows if you have like a medical condition or something so that they can make a plan in advance. And yeah, but I would say keep an open mind, be open to the adventure. Um, and just come, willing to enjoy and to experience it all.
Well, thank you, Daniel. Do you have any closing remarks you'd like to share with our guests?
Yeah, well, I want to say that I'm very excited for you. Not everyone decides to travel to Africa. Not everyone is brave enough. They think of Africa as this, foreign, difficult, poor place to go to, unsafe, and that's not the case at all. Like we personally, I'm just one person who works at Kensington Tours. I send about 80 different groups of clients to Africa every year, and the feedback is always phenomenal. The feedback is always really, really good. So I'm very excited for you. Thank you so much for choosing Kensington Tours. We're going to make sure to blow your mind while you're with us in Africa. Closer to the trip, I will be sending you some travel tips to make sure that you're getting ready for the trip, making sure that you know what to pack, what to bring, what not to bring, because we don't want you to overpack either. And yeah, I'll be in touch with all of you. And if you have any questions, any concerns, feel free to reach out to Tilly and myself, and I'll answer as soon as I can.
Okay, well, thank you, Daniel. Thank you for spending time with us this morning. We really appreciate it, and I look forward to working with you on making this trip successful. Enjoy your trip in Africa this week. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you, Tilly. You're
Thank
most welcome.